Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 7, Chapter 18. Sathya Sai Seva, Part 2. Bhagawan is the medicine for Bhavaroga. Service has become a word of common currency, but its value is very much reduced by the hypocrisy of the users. Really speaking, only those who are afflicted with agony, equal agony, at the sight of pain and suffering, distress or disease, have the right to offer service. For they are not serving others, they are serving themselves, serving to remove as fast and as intelligently as they can their own agony. Service to others is the medicine one needs to alleviate the distress which fills one at the sight of distress in another being. Feel that you are serving yourself, that you are curbing your own ego. Otherwise, service heightens your self-esteem and develops a sense of superiority, which are both harmful spiritually. Food is the medicine for the illness of hunger, drink for the illness of thirst, for the disease of Bhavaroga, birth-death cycle. Bhagawan is the medicine. For the disease of desire, jnana is the specific. For the disease of doubt, despair and hesitation, which are the occupational diseases of sadhakas, the most effective remedy is paropakara, doing good to others. For the major infection of ashanti, anxiety, of course the treatment is bhajan. It is to provide these remedies to the sufferers that the organization has to dedicate itself. A spiritual organization is really above all rules and regulations. The realm of the Atma is beyond the limits of regulations. In this sense, rules are either meaningless or superfluous in Sathya Sai organizations. But at least to satisfy the law of the land dealing with associations of this kind, some rules have to be adopted. For example, who can be members of these organizations and what are their qualifications? 1. Of course, they must be eager aspirants for spiritual progress. 2. They must have full faith in the name that the organization bears and in spreading that name in the manner suited to its message and majesty. 3. Besides, the members must have won recognition as a good person. That is all the qualification needed. Nothing else counts. There is no need to have money or land or scholarship, influence or authority or official position. Oath must be taken from the very depth of the heart. If you have the 3 qualifications mentioned, I assure you, even if you have no place in any other organization bearing my name, you will have a place here. Baba indicated his heart as the place where they will be accepted. The organizations must be such that members find them congenial places to deepen their sadhana, to cultivate their virtues and to overcome their ego by contact with workers who are free from the least trace of that deadly poison. If this is achieved, their success is certain. Secondly, what are the duties of members and office bearers? You know that the state requires you to take a solemn oath when you take up an office or enter upon an assignment. Similarly, each member and office bearer must take an oath from the very depths of their heart before engaging themselves in any activities. Swami, save me from any act of commission or omission which will affect adversely the 3 qualifications you have laid down. Bless me with the skill, intelligence and enthusiasm necessary for the task I am dedicating myself to carry out for my own uplift. Guide me along the correct path, shower on me your grace so that I may earn a fair name in this attempt. Guard me from temptation and wrong steps. When you rise from bed at dawn, pray thus. At night, when you go to bed, ponder over your activities during the day, examining them, whether you went against any of the conditions of membership, and if any wrong had been committed unconsciously. Pray that it may not happen again. Decide to dedicate yourself in this manner, with these ideals for the work ahead. Do not develop fanaticism in Sai activities. Another point I want to emphasize is this. There are many other organizations with spiritual objectives in this land, run under different names, attached to other names and forms of God, like Rama, Krishna. You know that Indian culture insists that you should offer reverence to all the names and forms of the one Godhead. In your organizations, there may be some who insist that only Sai bhajan should be sung. Only the name and form of Sathya Sai be used. This is a great mistake. You are thereby dishonoring Sai. If you attach yourself to Sai and detach yourself from Krishna, you get a plus there and a minus here. The resultant gain is zero. In this matter, do not develop fanaticism or sectarianism. Others may have these, but that is no reason why you should meet them with the same failings. Try your best to avoid such infection. When the other organizations require help, go and help them. This will make them realize the loving universal nature of your attitude. Again, do not encourage differences based on religion, language, region, or any such flimsy grounds. For example, people who exaggerate these differences argue in Madras that only Tamil songs be sung, or in Andhra Pradesh that only Telugu songs should be sung. If such ideas are entertained, they will undermine the adhyatmic, spiritual outlook, the attitude of unity and oneness, which is the keynote of the spirit. This is a field where inner joy, inner satisfaction, internal purity are most important than outer expression. I do not like collection of funds, but since some expense has to be incurred, I have to allow it under very stringent conditions. Each organization has as members of the Samiti about 10 or 15 persons. Whatever expense they decide to incur for the work of the Samiti organization, they have to collect among themselves, without seeking help from those outside the circle. They have, of course, to contribute according to their capacity and limit the work to the resources they can pool among themselves. A word of warning on collecting funds and spending. Do not plan beyond your capacity and move about with lists from person to get funds. By this, the institution gets a bad name and you too will not be spared. You may say, but when Swami comes to our place, we must spend a lot on reception arrangements. No, I do not need grand decorations, huge pandals, archers, flags, and such paraphernalia. I require only a mic to communicate. My advice to the people: even a chair is superfluous. I can talk standing. Spend sparingly for the maximum needs. Do not involve yourselves in expensive luxury. I would like you to spend any extra money that you have for the feeding of the poor or for any similar beneficial object. Attempts are being made in many places to build Sathya Sai mandirs, halls of worship. But Sathya Sai will be happy if he is installed in your hearts. That is the mandir I like, not those. When you seek to build that other mandir, you have to go about seeking donations. Religion has declined in this land due to this donation seeking and donation granting. Really speaking, the most precious donation is a pure mind. Give that to the organization and it will shine. I shall tell you a method by which the extra funds you may need for any undertaking the Samiti has in view are to be collected. Estimate beforehand what the expense will be. Suppose it comes to 1,000 rupees. Give that information to the 15 members and fix a day when they shall all meet. That day, keep a locked box with a slit on the lid in an inner room. Let everyone go in alone into the room and deposit in the box whatever he feels he can. He can come away without depositing anything. He has the freedom to do so. There is no compulsion. If funds are collected with the knowledge of the rest, a person who is unable to give as much as another may feel humiliated, and so this is the best method. When all have finished their turn, let the box be opened and the amount counted. If it falls short of the estimate, divide the shortfall among all members equally and collect the share from each. If there is some surplus, keep it for the next occasion. Fund collection campaign will lead to calumny. Do not have lists, appeals, receipt books, and all the cumbrous complex of fund collection campaigns. That way will lead you to stratagems and falsehoods, competition and calumny. Do it in this quiet and sacred manner suited to the holy objectives you have. Some delegates suggested that subcommittees be formed and recognized, but that will increase the number and so give room for more mistakes. Let the responsibility be on a few dedicated persons. The district president must see that small associations in the villages are given proper guidance and help to carry out the task undertaken by them, and to send to those villagers exponents of Vedic culture in order to instruct and inspire them. Attempts should also be made to spread spiritual knowledge and instill the yearning for spiritual sadhana among students and youth. Do not set limits to celebrations of holy days. Sathya Sai Seva Samitis have to bear in mind the word Seva and take up Seva work enthusiastically. Seva must be directed towards the removal of physical distress, the alleviation of mental agony, and the fulfillment of spiritual yearning. Some regions are affected by floods, some by drought. The Samiti must make efforts to bring some relief to the sufferers from these and other natural calamities. The bhajan mandalis, satsangs, bhakta mandalis that are now established must spread the message of namasmarana, bhajan and nagasankirtana at all times and in all places. Jayadeva, Gauranga, Tyagaraja, all these moved through the bazaars and streets, singing bhajans and songs about the glory of God, and their ecstasy filled lakhs and lakhs of people with divine fervor. Yesterday, someone read out a list of holy days which the associations were to celebrate. That list mentioned Shivaratri, Navaratri, Swami's birthday, and Guru Purnima. But you must also celebrate the birthdays of the Mahatmas who led man to the God within them, and also all days held holy by your brothers. Do not set limits to these celebrations and these days. Make every day a holy day and fill it with the recollection of God and His messengers. Establish unity among yourselves first. Do not seek faults in others or excellences in your own selves. The fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. Have full faith in this and fill every act of yours with that reverence and love. Meet together once a week or once a fortnight or at least once a month. Have someone to discourse to you or engage in bhajan or study or dhyana. Experience the thrill of spiritual comradeship. Every member of the association must have some item of work allotted to him, and he must be present whenever such meetings are held, unless, of course, it becomes physically difficult. I must tell you about another point also. Wherever you are, whatever work you do it as an act of worship, an act of dedication, an act for the glorification of God, who is the inspirer, the witness, the master. Do not divide your activities as these are for my sake and these are for the sake of God. Even if you divide 0 by 0, you get 1. When you work, there should be no remainder, nothing should remain over. See all work as one. You should not, the Shastras say, leave any remainder or balance in debts, in disease, in vengeance against enemies, in the cycle of birth-death. Finish all down to the last. They should not recur again. If you offer all activities at the feet of the Lord and free them from any trace of egoistic attachment, the consequence will not bind you. You are free, you are liberated, you have moksha. First, All India Conference of Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organizations, Madras, April 21st, 1967. Silence has to be started with oneself. That is to say, one must talk less and think more deliberately, more discriminatingly. One must try to empty the mind of impulses and prejudices and preferences. Thus man must strive to reach down to his real nature or dharma, which is divine, dharma swarupa, righteousness personified. Sri Sathya Sai Baba.